Tony, hi, Jerry from BBC. Obviously, fantastic result at the start of the month, but you missed a week because of the international break. Are you sorry that with all that momentum, you couldn't just crack on?
I think you know the calendar when the calendar comes out, and so not really. I think it's I think a lot of games now between now and the next international window is only less than a month away. I think so. 3 games this week. We're looking forward to them. We have to, as I said after that game, really get the feet back on the ground very quickly. Nobody thinks 5-0 against one of the really fancy teams of the league. We should be doing anything other than just put the points in the bag and work hard, which we have been trying to do this week. Let's get back to hard work and graft, and hopefully we can go to Queen's Park Rangers and find some of the quality that we showed in the Southampton game and see if we can score some goals.
People looking at that result will rightly think, well, everything just worked. There was that little spark of magic there. Is that something that you've talked about recreating, or is that something that you just have to take on a game by game basis? Was there something special that the guys did in that game that you want to do again this week?
No, I think we're playing against a totally different football team. Every team you play against has different strengths and weaknesses. So Queen's Park Rangers don't play as many passes in their own half of the pitch as Southampton did, and so it's a totally different way that we have to play against a team who plays differently from the previous one. And I think this is why the Championship is so difficult, because you generally get 2 days or a day and a half to prepare for the next team who play totally different from the team you've just played, and you have to be adaptable and flexible, and so I'm not anticipating QPR doing anything near what Southampton did.
You said after the Southampton game that it had been a little bit tough because of a lot of speculation around the future of quite a few of your players. Are you glad transfer window is behind you now?
Yeah, I think we all are. I think the Ross Stewart situation is off the agenda now. It's done, and as I've always said, the next goal scoring hero for the fans has to emerge, and I'm sure he will. This moment is very early, of course. We haven't played any games, but we have some strikers in the building now, and we've had 2 or 3 days looking at them and working with them and feeling their personalities and their strengths and their weaknesses, and we'll try and incorporate them into the group as the weeks and the months roll on.
Does that itself present any challenges in terms of things settling down? You've had the transfer window with all of that uncertainty. Now you've got new players in. Again, do you have to go through that whole process of settling things
just
down?
that, I think they have to find their place in the squad. The squad have applied themselves really, really well so far, and we've been playing without strikers really. Last few games has probably been Bellingham and Dak, but we've also got the likes of Pritchard, Roberts and people like this who can play in them little pockets of space as well. Dan Neal's been playing so much higher up the pitch this year for us, and so we have to look about thinking, we've got some strikers now. Are we going to change the formation? Are we going to, what are we going to accommodate or not accommodate? And which game do we think is best for different players? And I think that's a good issue for us. It's not a problem. I was going to say it's a good problem to have. It's not a problem. It's good that we've got choices to make now for each game. And as I said, some games you need speed and to push them back because they press you really, really high, and you can't build out from the back because their press is really intense, and so you need some legs at the top end to play long. And other games, they sit really deep because their centre-halves are all 37-year-old, and you have to be good with the ball to build it to get around their box, and you need technical players. And so some games you need technique, some games you need speed, some games you need power, and it's just good to have the choices now to be able to select a team. And I think back of, if I dare think back to like Stoke at home last year, we could only play one way, and the opposition knew the way we were going to play. They'd set up, they worked on it, and they reaped their rewards. And I think every team has to have like plan B of what, when this is happening in a game, you have to be able to change it. And yet on that particular day, we didn't have any other options. We had to keep trying to do what we do.
You've mentioned quite a few times about having to play your plan B, not having strikers and the depth of the squad you wanted. Now you've got that, or at least you've got the potential for that. You must be relishing the idea of being able to play the way you want to play and having those choices.
Yeah. Well, listen, I think that any football club's job is to take away the excuses. My job is to take the excuses away from the players, and I think the football club's job is to take my excuses away. I don't say they're excuses; they're reality. They were facts. We did play for a long time without a recognised striker, and yet what's happened is the team have almost developed into a team that want to play with the ball, and so to have no striker has become not a problem for us because we've just got lots of technical players. Last year Diallo's not a striker, and yet he scored 16 goals or whatever he might have scored. Bending him in the top corner, playing lovely little 1-2s around the box, and was dominating the ball and finding a way to score goals. If we have an out-and-out striker who doesn't necessarily get involved in the build-up but stands in the middle, and as the ball comes he just keeps banging it in the net, we're not going to complain either. So we'll have to play to the strengths of the team that we get, but there's going to be a period of time where we are finding out about the strengths and weaknesses of the players that we've got, and so I'm having lots of one-on-one conversations. I generally start with, if you were picking the team, where you're putting yourself in the team. It's because there is a slight, so the Ukrainian kid, obviously we're fortunate to have Timo here, who's a young Ukrainian footballer in the building, who obviously speaks both languages well, and so he can interpret for me if he was picking the team, was he playing him number 9 down the middle against the centre half, or is he playing him slightly off the left, or does he want to play a little bit deeper and get on the ball and link it up with the midfield and dribble? It's easier to put them in the position, so when we make some changes in the team or we make substitutions later on in a game, we put the young players, the new young players, in the positions that they prefer to play in.
Great. Cheers, Tony. Thank you.
Tony, you mentioned that the break perhaps came at a bad time given the momentum you're gaining in Southampton, for example, but how has the break been on the training field for those who've been at the club?
How's it been? I always find it's hard when you haven't got a game at the weekend to actually get the quality that you need, because they don't see the end goal. How's it been? There've been training sessions and we've worked hard enough. I think the target really in the first week of any international break is to make sure you hit the numbers that you are trying to hit, really, to keep them fit and ready. And so can you almost do enough work so that it feels like they played a game, and so that when the games do start, there's no excuses of saying, I haven't done very much for the last 2 weeks, because they've trained really hard to make sure it feels like their bodies keep going in the cycle of 1 or 2 games a week.
Of course, that Southampton game was a brilliant win. It must have caused a lot of confidence in the side. Going into this game against QPR, who's had a mixed start to the season, you must be, as I say, full of confidence going into the game and think, yeah, we can go and get 3 points here.
I think they'll just won 2-0 at Middlesbrough in their last game, which was a great result for them. I think we have to be mindful and of the threats that they carry. We've obviously been watching them. I think people talk about Ilias Chair. It was a wonderful talent. Andre Dizel scored. It's possibly going to be out of any team to score a better goal this season than the one he scored at Middlesbrough. The big lad Armstrong up front. Everybody I spoke to, my wife's from Ipswich, and some Ipswich fans, her family and stuff, would say, wow, the lad plays centre forward for QPR, Armstrong, what a player he is. So they've got threats. We have to be mindful. They're playing at home, they'll have a raucous crowd, and we have to go there and try and impose ourselves on the football match. But we are very respectful of we're very respectful of how hard they're going to work and how organised they are. I think the coach, obviously, his Wickham team, he used to give everybody problems, to be honest, because of the work ethic that he instills in his teams.
And finally, can we expect to see Nazari Brusin, new Ukrainian forward, introduced quite soon?
I'm not sure. I think we're still working on visas and stuff like that at the moment. As I sit here right now, he's not available. He might be tomorrow or this afternoon. I'm not sure, but he looks excited. He looks fast. He looks direct. He looks quick. If I was going to say what he looks like on the training pitch. We just have to work away all them things that I've talked about in the past, and every manager you've ever sat here and talked to tells you about new signings, especially ones who don't speak the language. They have to be bed in. We shouldn't be expecting too much too early from a young lad who's away from home, doesn't speak the language. Probably the cards are on the wrong side of the road for him. He doesn't know how to get any money out of the bank. He doesn't know where anything is. Let's give him some time and be patient with him. But he looks a good footballer, and at some stage in the next couple of weeks he'll hopefully impact the games.
Just off the back of that then, right, how fit is he? Because there was suggestions that he'd had some kind of a knock-on injury, towards the end of his time before he came here. How if the visa was sorted, how fit is he?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I don't think he's played a game in three weeks. So I don't think anybody should expect to see his name on the starting team at the weekend. But we will be taking him with us to London, whether he gets his visa or not. I think it's right that he comes with the team on a trip. He's around the players. He'll probably have to stand on a chair and sing a song as his initiation. I'm not sure what he's going to sing, of course, because he doesn't really speak English. So we might get the Ukrainian national anthem. I'm not sure, but
Portuguese.
But listen, it's good. New players coming in. It's interesting to see how they integrate, who they migrate towards, which players do they buddy up with. Is it the guy they're sitting next to in the dressing room, or is it the guy who's the loudest or the funniest? Or because I don't think any of our lads speak Ukrainian, to be honest. But let's give him some time, is what I'm trying to say. Let's not expect too much too soon.
And I guess the same is obviously true as well for Mason, although obviously he has that little bit of experience at the start of the season, that little sniffing in around their first team, which can only have benefited him. But it's a big opportunity for him, isn't it? Because as we've seen in a number of recent seasons, loans like that can really take a player from here to here. Yeah,
I think he's a really nice, humble boy. I think, and to be honest, I think the balls were getting net rash after the first day. He didn't miss. Everything was flying in. It was unbelievable. It was. He looks exciting. He's such a nice, humble, almost shy kid. He just kept smashing it in the net. So let's hope that that's not meant to put pressure on him. I'm just telling you the reality of that first training session. He must have scored 50 goals in like an hour's training. He looks exciting. He looks direct. He looks fast. He's got hunger. He chases around. He works hard. He wants to score. I think for me, we just have to sort of fine tune his movement around how we play, and whether he can do it or he can't do it. And then if he can't do it as we have been doing it, then we might have to tinker it a little bit, and we leave him more down the middle and try and slide more balls in behind, because he is fast and mobile and knows how to finish.
And then what about, I'm not even going to attempt the pronunciation of the other two lads who came in on I'll leave that to you. Yeah. How are they fitness wise first off? Like where are they at?
I think a little bit short. Adil played in a bounce game against Hartlepool the other day. He's technically a very good football player. At this moment, in the positions they play, the team are doing all right. I think they have to bed into the club, get a feel of it, be patient. Let's wait and see what happens, how quickly we can integrate them into the group. We shouldn't be sitting here with an anxiety of get them in the team, get them in, and for whatever reason we disrupt what we've been trying to do. So I think like the lads who came similar time this time last year, with Ahmed being one of them, but Abdullah now, had such an effective game the other day. It's taken them all a year. Jewison still hasn't cracked through that ceiling of getting in the team, and yet again showed his flashes. It takes time to acclimatise and become part of the group, and all the little things in life that they have to do, that we try to support them with. You have to give them time, I think, but they look like good footballers. I mean, the young right back Timmy looks fast and direct and positive and exciting. I have to try and squeeze him into a team that, you know, Trey Hume's been an outstanding footballer for us this year and doesn't go bombing past Patrick Roberts. He plays inside and feeds Patrick Roberts, and so we have to fit players into some games when you have to change the way you play. You have to bring probably Patrick inside and let Timmy go bombing on. But he's not. Again, he's had an injury. He's not fit. He won't be included in the match day squad. But they're not far away. But they need to play some footy. They need to play for our 21s and get up and running really. But when I sit in my office with my board and all the names and move them around, I feel as if we've got choices and decisions. And are we carrying 3 strikers on the bench these days? I said to you, almost jokingly, that'll be more in next press conference. We've got too many strikers, and yet we had a training drill today where we had to bring 3 defenders up up from the 18s, just so that we had enough defenders so the attackers could attack in waves against them, because we've got so many attacking players now. But that's only good. I look at my board and I feel as if we've got a squad of players to hopefully be competitive.
Ballard okay, because I know obviously he had that kind of knock and then obviously came back and played, so has he come back all right?
He's come back all right, trained today, yeah.
And then just the last one from me, Tony, obviously there's stories this week about contracts, specifically your contract, and the extension and everything. Was that just a kind of natural progression over the summer, or was that something you had to really sit down and talk about, and presumably you're happy that it's sorted?
I didn't know anything about it. Jack Clark was walking on the training ground the other day, he's going, Gaff, a thumbs up, and he's giving it all. I think, what are you on about? I was totally unaware of it. I think what's happened is a clause in my contract that I probably never read, has kicked in on our league finishing position last year, and if we finished in a certain position above, I think we might have been 10th, if we finished in the top half of the table or 10th, my contract got extended. I think, I don't know, and I'm not too interested, to be honest, either way. I've never been overly interested in my contracts. I just like football. I like footballers, and I want to come to work. Contracts have to be right, of course, because at the other end of a contract, generally when you're losing your job or you want to move on, that's why really you need legal people to make sure. But I think what happened was, even before the playoff games, because of our finishing league position after the 46 games, I think that kicked in, that my contract got extended at the end of the season before the playoff matches.
Well, if you win promotion this year, you'll be able 2057.
I honestly don't know what my contract says, but listen, turn that around and I could easily get promotion and be out the door as well. It works both ways, football contracts, and but I leave it generally to advisors, people who are cleverer than me and understand legal stuff, and I just get on with the football really. Thanks. But I found it strange when, like you asking me a question, contracts, I never crossed my mind. I haven't signed a new contract. I think it's just a clause in the contract that kicked in through our finishing position in the league.